Now, he may be known to millions around the country as the tough one to please. But have you ever wondered where our longest-serving judge first found his dancing feet? Now it's time to find out a little bit more about Craig Horwood.
I was born on the 4th of January in 1965 in Australia in a little town called Ballarat. And there is a little song, B-A-L-L-A-R-A-T, Ballarat, Ballarat, Ballarat. When I think back, I thought, where did all of this performance desire come from? And I guess it can be related back to my grandfather, Revel. He used to ride a penny farthing dressed as a clown. I suppose you could say I did take after him a little bit. When I was at school, I had very limited friends. I just did not fit in at all. I didn't like sport at school. In fact, I hated it. And being a kid in Australia that doesn't like sport is a social misfit and outcast. That's why I went to the dance class, as you see. I went to this jazz ballet class for the Ballarat Lyric Theatre. People were telling me that I was good at it, and it was the first thing that I'd ever been any good at. They were wonderful to be around. I felt like I was part of a community that understood me and didn't judge me. Where I grew up, it was not acceptable to be even slightly effeminate. I wanted to be a dancer, and that was not acceptable. I wanted to get out as soon as possible, and my escape route was to dance my way out of Ballarat, and that's what I did. I decided that I would continue my training in Melbourne as a dancer, but I didn't have any money, so I looked through a paper for any job, and it said apprentice hairdresser required. So I went to the library, and I got 5 books out by Vidal Sassoon and all sorts of people, and just read up on it, went for the interview the next day, and got the job. So I became a hairdresser. I was still training every morning, every evening, hairdressing during the day, and then I went for an audition for a show called West Side Story. And so I was, 17 at the time. And lo and behold, I got the job and became a professional dancer from that moment on. I was in shows and I was being very successful, but I wanted more. You know, I wanted experience performing by myself as a soloist. So I created this character called Lavish. I would go out and moonlight at clubs. I turned up one day in a red wig, 6-inch stillies, my trumpet, and I said, "Do you need someone to perform?" And they said, "Yeah." I really loved it. It was great fun. But she became a little bit too popular and was starting to take over my life. So in 1988, she was last seen walking up the Champs-Élysées with heels in hand, darling, and she's never been seen since. I did the Danny LaRue show in the UK for literally a month, and I got Cats, the musical. Getting that role in the West End, it was a dream come true, or something I only dreamt of that actually happened to me, and that doesn't happen to many people. You know, and I'm from Ballarat in Australia. It's amazing. When I was 29, I was still auditioning, and I thought, I do not want to be competing against 16, 17, 18-year-olds when I'm nearly 30. So I decided to not do that anymore and move to the other side of the fence and become a choreographer. Would I be a good choreographer? I didn't know, but it wasn't until I was asked to put the choreography on for Susan Stroman on a show called Crazy for You in South Africa that I discovered this is what I want to do. Then Cameron McIntosh rang me and said, "Craig, would you consider being the resident director of Miss Saigon?" And I said, "Oh, that'd be great." Suddenly, I was the flavour of the month, and then I started getting gig after gig after gig as a choreographer. And then I was having too many arguments with my directors about how I thought it should go. So I thought the only way to solve that is to direct and choreograph myself. And so my first directorial and choreographic job in the West End was a show called Beautiful and Damned. And there were producers that had seen this poster saying, oh, what's that? A new musical in the West End called Beautiful Town. Who's in charge of it? Oh, let's bring them. And that's how I got my job at the BBC on a new programme called Strictly Come Dancing. The best thing I ever told myself when I was a kid is follow your dreams and never give that up. Follow your passion and you will be successful. And if you're not, dust yourself off, darling, and try it again, because only through failure do we find success.
Okay, so everybody keep your eyes peeled for lavish